This is Hollywood. Matías Bombal with you. From Sony Pictures Classics comes the latest release from clever Jim Jarmusch, Only Lovers Left Alive, a modern vampire film that is what folks like to call offbeat. It's not a shock or a fright fest, but rather an interesting story of two name-dropping vampires of sophistication and exquisite education that continue to survive in the modern world, yet in places of relative obscurity, Tangier and the depressed, abandoned old neighborhoods of Detroit. It is the story of those two vampire lovers, one a depressed musician Adam, played by Tom Hiddleston, the other Tilda Swinton, who reunite in Detroit by night, when else, to resume their romance. Now it's been going on for centuries, but it's only to be disrupted by her younger sister, who drops in unexpectedly. In this scene, in the early part of the film in Tangier, screen legend John Hurt, who plays Marlowe, encourages Eve, the part played by Swinton, to go see her lover of many centuries.
I don't understand why you don't live in the same place, because you can't live without each other. Anyway, give my regards to that suicidally romantic scoundrel.
Do you really think he is?
Scoundrel?
Well, let's hope he's just romantic. Even so, I mainly blame Shelley and Byron and some of those French arseholes he used to hang around with.
God, I wish that I'd met him before I wrote Hamlet. He would have provided the most perfect role model imaginable.
So nice to see John Hurt on the screen again, although in darkness. This is a very clever movie that seems out of step in its nocturnal ways and haunting in that the night world presented seems so different. These are modern vampires who find it barbarous and impolite to feed on victims, but rather get their human nectar from blood banks, hospitals, and other sources. It's in one such a place that we find one of my favorite actors working today, Jeffrey Wright, who you may recall from Boardwalk Empire. He's ready to supply the precious liquid for money. In a very interesting way, this movie represents the possible analogy that these vampires in present day are just like drug addicts, needing that fix and relying on denizens of the underworld to stop by or be called on for illicit transactions to further their addiction, which keeps them going. One such denizen is the wonderful young actor Anton Yelchin, looking quite different from his role of Chekhov in the Star Trek movies. Here, with long hair and rocker visage, he's sort of an errand boy for Hiddleston. He's so good, I didn't recognize him until it was the end of the picture. You'll see him briefly in this scene when Eve's sister comes by to wreak havoc in Adam's Detroit home.
Adam, you think we could hear some of your new stuff?
Now's not a good time.
Seems like a great time. We're all here, you know? Yeah, I got you. I'm sorry. I'm just getting excited.
Me too. Adam. Adam. Could I have that flask back, please?
No, Ava. No more tonight.
I'm just really thirsty.
Ava, as opposed to Eve, who is thirsty in that scene, is played by the actress Mia Wasikowska. The movie fascinated me and delighted me in that it was not fast-paced and had such clever ideas and elements typical of the films of Jim Jarmusch, like his Down by Law, which made an impression on me back in 1986. Here he's directing his own screenplay. I was also intrigued by how the abandoned ruins of Detroit are used in a lyrical way, including a love letter to a past movie palace, Rappin' Rap's Michigan Theater, built on the site where Henry Ford's first car was produced and ironically gutted and turned into a parking lot in 1976, but leaving the ornate ceilings and lobby walls and projection booth still in place. Jarmusch uses this evocative image to illustrate cultural decay. He couldn't be more spot on. The entire film drips with a stagnant decay. In this case, decay is the new clever. This is your pal, Matías Bombal, bidding you a fond farewell.